stuff you like, you can call me Ursa, and since it's about time for the September issue, by which I mean, you know, it's September, I figured we'd take a second look at The Devil Wears Prada. Honestly, I could go on and on about this film, which is weird because I don't really like it all that much. There's so much in there with the friends and the boyfriend and that blonde guy and the selling your soul for shoes thing that just makes me ragey, but I can't look away. Because there's so much really good, interesting stuff in there to talk about too. Not to mention all of the stuff that I both enjoy and feel conflicted about at the same time. For example, The Devil Wears Prada treats the fashion industry as something other than entirely frivolous. My favourite part being that speech on cerulean, which is nice because treating fashion as frivolous is a nice way of delegitimizing people's interests, and by people's I mostly mean women's. Because man, some people take sports really, really seriously, and obviously, like fashion, you can have a career in playing sports or sports journalism or sports commentating or any of those things. But there isn't a vast cultural movement which says sports are stupid, throw rocks at them. Obviously there are subcultures who think that sports are stupid and you should throw rocks at them, but generally sports is a legitimate thing to like. And while fashion is also a major industry, it's generally treated more lightly than sports are, even though clothes are a thing that we have to wear. So treating the fashion industry as legitimate is, you know, good, but the fashion industry itself does fill me with equal parts fear, loathing, and fascination, so I'm still kind of conflicted about this. I mean, on the one hand, pretty, but on the other hand, everything is about the pretty. Nothing else matters. Nothing. Be pretty and thin and white and exactly who we tell you to be, and also rich because you'll need to be to buy all of this crap that we're telling you is essential. Like I said, conflicted. But the plot of The Devil Wears Prada goeth thusly. Andy Sachs wants to be a journalist, but the only job on offer is gopher for exceptionally demanding fashion magazine maven Miranda Priestly. Andy sucks, then starts trying, becomes actually interested in the work, is alienated from her friends and boyfriend, quits, and gets the job she wants thanks to her talent plus a recommendation from Miranda. Also, maybe gets back with the boyfriend even though he's moving to Boston for work, and I will get to that. The reason I'm so fascinated with this movie is not the high fashion or the designer labels or the pretty shoes, but the women. The male characters tend to spark anything from mild amusement to hardcore irritation, but I just can't look away from Andy and Emily, and especially for Miranda Priestly. And though, as I said last time, the movie does a really ham-handed job of that whole selling your soul for shoes thing, which is something that makes me mad enough to spit, the women still win in The Devil Wears Prada. They get what they want. I mean, even minor character Lily is shown, you know, having a gallery showing, which is presumably helpful for her career. Skipping out that crappy selling your soul thing, Emily gets what she wants when Andy leaves. She continues working at Runway, next year she'll probably get to Paris, and she gets a big pile of designer clothes. Not to mention that cattiness and sarcasm aside, Emily is a model of professional behaviour. She helps Andy, she shows her what to do, she gives her generally good advice. Another movie with two assistants might have had them trying to cut each other down, but no, Emily knows that Miranda Priestly does not tolerate sloppiness in any form, and so when Andy messes up, Emily picks up the slack, albeit somewhat begrudgingly. And Miranda herself? In an industry requiring ridiculous standards, she has not only survived, but thrived. Not to mention building herself an extensive network of people who owe her and people whose careers she has nurtured. Miranda has the world's most off-putting manner, and I don't think we'd be buddies, but while she is, as one of the Shay Apocalypse commenters put it, willing to step over bodies in order to advance, she does bring people with her. In late spring and early summer, there were a huge number of articles about a piece of research from Columbia Business School which was talking about Queen Bee syndrome and how it was based on one study from the 70s, and I should probably explain what it is, right? Queen Bee syndrome is the name for the female boss who keeps all of her other female employees down. Just as there can only be one queen bee in the hive, so there can only be one queen bee in the workplace, and so bosses who are female, it was thought, will try and keep all of the other women in the office down and sabotage their careers in order to stay on top. Thing is, having done a study looking at large numbers of businesses over 20 years instead of a single survey in a magazine, they found that there's really no factual basis for this. Are there female bosses who will try and keep their female employees down? Sure, but we call those people bad bosses, or possibly more accurately just terrible people. And regardless, they seem to be the exception rather than the norm. The reason I bring this up is that more than one newspaper which decided to cover this story gave Miranda Priestly, and included a little picture of Meryl Streep, as an example of a queen bee boss. Which is very, very far from the truth. Like, kind of the opposite of the truth. Miranda is mean and ruthless, but she is also someone who particularly nurtures people she sees as talented. And frankly, she doesn't have time to hold the hands of people who don't meet her standards. Miranda may hate French runway Jacqueline, who wants to take her job, but Miranda doesn't wreck her career for it. She gets Jacqueline a better job, one she really wants. Though that does require Miranda rescinding her Stanley Tucci recommendation, which kind of has to suck for Stanley Tucci. But she didn't have to do that. She could have easily gone to the head of the company and said, look at all of these people who will leave if I leave. But instead, she finds Jacqueline a job that she really wants, more than the one that she's gunning for, and thus carrot and stick, and everyone is happy, including Jacqueline. To circle back around to the point, what Miranda wants is to do good work, to see other people do good work, and to have a life which she enjoys, and she, for the most part, achieves all of those things. Aside from the undeniable suckitude of divorcing, she still has, in no particular order, a career she loves, a dog, steak for lunch, 2 children she adores, and excessive amounts of money. She has paid a very high price for success, yes, but she still gets almost all of the things she wants, almost all of the time. And then we have Andy. Andy's arc is obviously, being a ruthless tall poppy like Miranda is bad, I should instead focus on my friends and boyfriend. Wait, who's leaving town for his job? And I'm supportive of this, even though he was a total jerk about my attempts at career advancement? You see what I mean about mixed feelings, right? Some of the movie I really love and some of the lines are really sharp and funny, but some of it you just want to go, ah! Andy, if your boyfriend were half so supportive as you are of him and way less of a whiny crybaby, I would like him much better. Yes, you change when you have a demanding job, and yes, not always for the better. But he works in the restaurant industry. What, he doesn't understand busting your butt and being ambitious? Clearly he does, otherwise he wouldn't be so happy about getting this new job which he had to apply for and interview for and... But then again, Andy still gets what she wants. She gets to work as a journalist off the back of a recommendation from Miranda. She may or may not get back with the boyfriend who annoys me intensely, though not as much as that blonde guy, but again, that is what she wants. Andy doesn't want the multi-million-dollar house enough to chase it, and that is okay. However, if Andy were the only woman in the movie, her arc would be tiresomely samey. I don't really want a demanding career, my relationships are more important is not a terrible story, but it's one that we've seen so many times that it gets kind of old. And it's a very lady story. The book presented much more one-note characters and so I liked it less, but the movie presents Miranda Priestly in particular as a flawed and complex human being who gets what she wants and wields power and likes her life, and that's very rare. Emily, Andy, Miranda, even Jacqueline, they get what they want, and given that much more sympathetic portrayal of Miranda, there's a much broader range of acceptable options, if you understand me. The option which our main character takes is in one sense, yes, the typically feminine one of emphasizing the importance of family and friends, but in another sense, it's her getting exactly the kind of job she wanted, so really, in the end, what's the big deal? Like I said the last time we talked about The Devil Wears Prada, through stereotypical second-wave ball-breaker Miranda's nurturing of her career, Andy now has the choice. And she gets to choose the job that she really wants and her friends and family. So, win? And while the movie doesn't shy away from the price of Miranda's success, it could have judged her much more harshly for it, and it doesn't. It's a much more sympathetic portrayal than that of the book, which is basically my boss's non-speakable B. Sometimes I think that the movie is attempting to show the complexity of the options before women in the modern day, and sometimes I think it just can't make up its mind what it's doing. But that ambiguity is probably what makes it so interesting. After all, if it were just a straight woman abandons demanding career for boyfriend, etc., what's interesting or revolutionary about that? Alright, that's everything for this episode. You can subscribe down here, you can Patreon up here, and you can follow me on Twitter at Bearup. See you next time.